welcome into This is MLS. Delighted to be back for the 30th season here in Major League Soccer. I'm your host, Kaylin Kyle, and I couldn't do this show without some legends, former legends of Major League Soccer. So let's kick it off with our very own legend from the New England Revolution, Taylor Twellman, scoring over 100 goals here in Major League Soccer. Sacha with 99 assists in Major League Soccer. And Mo Adu blowing it out of the water with 9 goals, 5 assists, and absolutely making havoc in the middle of the park. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Those are good numbers for a center back.
Man, they are what they are, brother. I love them. I take them in stride.
No, I had 30 assists, by the way.
30
of them were 30 assists, and 27 of them were shots that just somehow someone on the back post tapped it in. They weren't passes.
And they all count. They all count.
All right, gentlemen, let's dive straight into it. Let's start off with Inter Miami, the former Supporter Shield winners in 2024. They set the single points record with 74 points. Lionel Messi, the league MVP. Did you find their season, though, a disappointment, considering they were knocked out of the first round of the playoffs against Atlanta United in the best of the 3-game series?
It's not a disappointment, Kaylin. I hate this narrative around Inter Miami that they were a disappointment because they lost a series to Atlanta in the playoffs. You said it. They're the best regular season team of all time. And the only reason why people are saying there's a disappointment is because they have Lionel Messi, the best player of all time. So it all comes down to expectations. If we look back and said 74 points, 75, whatever they got, the MVP, we tuned in and week out. We couldn't not watch this team as they performed. Luis Suarez, above expectations, 20 goals. This was not a disappointment. I hate that narrative.
Sash, listen, my man. No. I love the passion. I love the enthusiasm. But you kind of said it in your statement there. The expectations. Yeah, the expectations are what set this up for Inter Miami. You don't go out and sign the GOAT. You don't go out and sign the greatest player that's ever played this game in Lionel Messi. You don't bring along his boys and have the expectation to just win Supporter Shield. And let me rephrase that, because that's a little bit unfair to say just a Supporter Shield. But we all know that this league is an American league, right? And in this country, we base our champion on who wins the MLS Cup playoffs. Inter Miami didn't do that. So I give them their credit. I give them their applause. They walked away this season with a trophy. That's incredible. Points record, incredible. They had the best player in the league, Lionel Messi. They were must-see TV. But ultimately, David Beckham made a statement earlier this year as well, saying like, hey, yeah, we want to win MLS Cup. That's what the goal is. That's what the goal is and what's going to define this team throughout the course of Lionel Messi's tenure with Inter Miami.
Taylor, we're going to get to you in just a moment because I can see you shaking your head in disagreement with, I think, Sacha. But someone that did find it a disappointment was Luis Suarez on the disappointment of last season. Let's take a listen.
De haber terminado la 2024 de la forma que terminamos.
Y el Inter Miami, de Messi, de Suárez, de Busquets y de Alba están eliminados.
Creo que aún con más ganas para revertir esa mala imagen, esa mala experiencia que vivimos quedando eliminados con Atlanta. Así que tenemos que aprender de lo vivido del pasado para este año no volver a cometer errores y poder llegar hasta el final, conseguir un premio y darle una alegría a nuestra gente.
Really interesting comments from Luis Suarez, and it just really shows how much pressure is on Inter Miami heading into this season. And considering pressure, Tata Martino mutually parted ways with Inter Miami. Javier Mascherano now comes in as the new head coach of Inter Miami after winning the League's Cup and the Supporter Shield, setting the single points record in just 18 months under Tata Martino. How much pressure, Taylor, is under the new manager?
He's under a lot of pressure. Naturally, you look at someone like Tata Martino and his pedigree winning MLS Cup with Atlanta United. Now he owns the most points record in all of the regular season while also hoisting a trophy in League's Cup. Javier Mascherano's coming in with real pressure. And listen, Sacha and Mo hit both points very well. When you set one record, most points in a regular season, obviously that can't be a disappointment. However, when you set the other record of having the biggest upset in MLS Cup playoff history from a team that was 34 points behind you, that in and of itself is disappointing. By the way, they didn't lose once, they lost twice. Jordi Alba, it's not a playoff fixture problem. that was an Inter Miami versus Atlanta United problem. Javier Mascherano, best friend of Lionel Messi. So obviously he's got a real good sense of what makes him tick. Busquets, Alba, Suarez. But I don't think they're as deep as they were last year. As we are taping this on February 19th, I expect another move or two to come in the next 48 to 72 hours. So I'm not totally sure what this roster looks like. But Sacha, my question for you is this. You played for a former teammate of yours in Jesse Marsch when he became head coach of the New York Red Bulls. I just wonder, listen, this is the greatest of all time. I'm not putting you on the spot to compare you to Lionel Messi, but it is a precarious position when a former teammate all of a sudden looks at you and says, you weren't good enough yesterday.
Yeah, Taylor, it's more about what the locker room thinks about you and your relationship with the coach. For me, Jesse was 12 years older than me, so we played together at the beginning of my career. But when I joined the New York Red Bulls, there are all the jokes, oh, Sacha is Jesse's son, and they're boys, and they go back and all that stuff. So you have to constantly prove yourself. For Messi and Mascherano, this is different. They're much closer in age. They played through some very big games together with FC Barcelona, and most notably with the Argentine national team. So balancing that for Mascherano, can he be tough on Messi in the moments that he has to, but also finding the balance within the rest of the group of Inter Miami?
Big question marks. Oh, go on, Mo.
No, can I just add something there? This is a great conversation, and the pressure is on Mascherano. But I will just say, the last time Messi did play with a former teammate, we all know what happened, right? Lionel Scaloni, coach of the Argentine national team, he couldn't tick that box. Messi, I'm talking about, of winning the World Cup. He brings in one of his boys to come coach the team. They win the World Cup. So let's see if the same thing can happen with Mascherano and Messi in Miami.
Well, big question marks around Inter Miami and how they will do in the 2025 season. And speaking of big question marks, let's jump over to the West Coast. LA Galaxy, the reigning MLS Cup champs. Riqui Puig, unfortunately, will not start the season after he suffered that ACL tear. He'll be out until maybe around June, July. On return is unknown. Also, the big transfer move of Joveljic down to Sporting Kansas City, their incredible number 9 that really got them far into the playoffs and ultimately lifting the MLS Cup. Sacha, when you look at this side, do we have any big question marks around them? Can they repeat? Can they do it again, considering they lost some key components to start this season and key components throughout the entirety of the season?
Yeah, listen, they did lose a lot of key players. Dejan Joveljic, notably the biggest one. Gaston Brugman goes to Nashville. I don't think he's as big of a loss because he only started 12 games last year, but he did show his quality in MLS Cup. But Riqui Puig is the biggest one that will be out at least until the summertime. So I can't really judge this LA Galaxy team until at least the second half of the season or after the League's Cup, because that's when Puig should be back. There's also a rumored signing of a U22 striker from Brazilian club Botafogo. So if he comes in and develops like Dejan Joveljic did over the past couple of years, then maybe the Galaxy are cooking again come playoff time. They still have Gabriel Peck, one of the best wingers, if not one of the best players in Major League Soccer. So this team might be a little bit up and down at the beginning of the season, but I think once Riqui Puig is back from injury, this team could be cooking again.
Mo, what do they have to do? Because we saw their home form last year and just how important that was. But when you are missing some big players, yes, home form is important, but what else do they need to do in order to get wins under their belt?
Well, first and foremost, the Galaxy, I know there's these little rumors that are floating around about Gabriel Peck. Ignore them. You can't sell that man. Keep that man at all costs because he is the difference maker right now. With Riqui Puig being out, Joseph Paintsa with a little bit of an injury as well. Gabriel Peck will be the focal point of that attack alongside Marco Reus. But what do they need to do differently this season, the Galaxy? For large stretches of last year, we focused so much on how they had inefficiencies defensively. Towards the back end of the season, they improved. They solidified that back line, and now they return this season with that same back line, whether it's Nelson, Yoshida, Emi Garces, Yamane, and now they have 2 players in front of them as well that are going to be a little bit more defensively sound and should protect them a little bit more. So I want to see, one, Galaxy have to be incredible at home again because their home form was so instrumental and influential in their success last year. And they need to turn what was an inefficiency at the beginning of the year, their defensive part of the game, into their strength. I agree with Sacha that they do in some ways have to weather the storm to get Riqui back, to get Paintsa back to full fitness, and then hopefully have some wiggle room to make some improvements come summertime. But I still look at this Galaxy team as being a strong team in the West. And once everyone is back to full strength and full health, yeah, they can make some noise yet again.
And someone that's going to need to step up for LA Galaxy is former Columbus Crew striker Christian Ramirez, who was transferred in the offseason, so maybe can fill that void in the number 9 spot until they do maybe make some more moves. Speaking of moves, our 30th season here in Major League Soccer, we've added a 30th team here now in Major League Soccer with the new expansion club of San Diego FC. Taylor, how difficult is it as an expansion club to come in and make an immediate impact in the regular season?
It's extremely difficult. And to put a bow on the Galaxy conversation, I'll actually give you a hot take because those two knuckleheads didn't give you anything. I actually think the LA Galaxy struggle to make the playoffs. I don't see the same team because Ricky Pooch, those two guys that just spoke, Sacha and Mo, an ACL in the way that Ricky Pooch did, you've got to be very careful to expect a ton from him coming back in fitness, in confidence, and understand. My money's on Ricky Pooch to overcome the ACL injury. But by summertime, Joveljic, Brugman, Delgado, Paintsill, Pooch, all of those 5 players are not available your first 8 weeks of the season. That's extremely difficult for that team. And Christian Ramirez can score goals like Joveljic if Paintsill and Pooch are available. So then you say to San Diego, who's playing with house money, you're going into the house that just won. They're the winningest team in all of Major League Soccer. Wouldn't surprise me 1 second on the first night of Sunday Night Soccer here on Apple TV if San Diego shows something. San Diego, in their last preseason game, beat the New York Red Bulls first team 6-0. 6-0. Now, I don't know if they're going to be great defending, but going forward, they've got real dynamic players. They've got a real sense, a real freedom. I get it. Preseason's one thing. But I think Sunday night kicking off this season, I think San Diego, I don't see number 1 seed in the Western Conference the way St. Louis City did and surprised everyone. But I also don't see the wooden spoon with the way Cincinnati did 3 straight years. And this summer is going to be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me 1 second if Kevin De Bruyne is playing in Major League Soccer for San Diego FC. And if they do so, now all of a sudden you're talking about some pieces. But I think Chucky Lozano is going to be Carlos Vela 2.0.
Speaking of Chucky Lozano, Mo, that is one of the key performers that they're going to need to rely on. What does he add to this team? And was it a good signing for your first designated player?
Well, first, yeah, Chucky Lozano was a great signing for San Diego. I am a little bit cautious to say Carlos Vela 2.0 because they're different players. I would say all the things off the pitch, yeah, the way that he's attracted the Mexican market, the way that he comes in at a similar age as Carlos Vela when he did as well, all those boxes are ticked, but I would say that they are different players. I do think Chucky will be and has to be the difference maker for San Diego. It's his pace, it's his ability to go 1v1, to create a chance for himself, to create a chance for teammates, to get at defenders, right? He's been a winner as well. He's won pretty much everywhere he's been, Pachuca, PSV, Napoli. So I would say the minimum for him this season has to be 15 goals contributions for the course of this season. And I do agree. If they can have a decent start to the season and they can bring in some more quality in the summer, a player like Kevin De Bruyne, it elevates their ceiling. But I don't think I'm as ambitious as Taylor is when it comes to San Diego.
Do they make the playoffs, Mo? That's top 9 teams in the West.
Here's what I'll say.
I'm saying Taylor, they're going to win the West.
No, I'm not saying that. Listen, I was on an expansion team in Toronto, right? And on paper, I loved our team. In preseason, I loved our team. When that first game came around, I said, oh, man, we're in trouble. It's a long season. There's a lot of moving parts. They have a new manager who's never managed.
Everyone had St. Louis 14th or 15th in the West, and they won the number 1 seed in the West. What I asked you, you didn't answer my question. Are they in the playoffs as the top 9 teams in the West? That's all I said. I didn't say they're going to win the West.
I got to think about who else is in the West, man.
Well, Mo, we're going to let you think on that because you're just sitting on the fence here all day long. This show isn't about the fence. Pick an answer, yes or no.
I think they just missed out.
Well, it took you long enough. It won't take us long enough, though. Sunday Night Soccer. For the first time ever here on MLS Season Pass in year 3, you asked and we are going to deliver. We are bringing you the best game of the weekend, and we are going to be bringing you the pregame coverage, a halftime show, breakdown, analysis with all the top people here around Major League Soccer. And kicking us off for our first night is LA Galaxy taking on the new expansion club of San Diego FC at 7 p.m. Eastern. Our pregame coverage kicking off at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, speaking of transfers here in Major League Soccer, obviously we just spoke on San Diego's Chucky Lozano, the first designated player to join that team. But I want to jump over to the East Coast with Atlanta United because they made some massive moves this offseason. They're trying to go back to 2018 Atlanta United, bringing back Miguel Almiron and Emmanuel Latela to Atlanta, Christian Arango to San Jose, Wilfried Zaha to Charlotte. That will be a huge one for Dean Smith's men, looking to add some attack into that front line, and like we just alluded to, Lozano to San Diego FC. Now, a new MLS rule that came into effect in 2025 is a cash trade. You can now officially buy players in cash and not use any allocation money, and these are some of them that we saw this season. Acosta from Cincinnati going to FC Dallas. Evander now will join Cincinnati. Dejan Joveljic, the first one to Sporting Kansas City, and Jesus Ferreira making his move up to Seattle. So let's jump into this a little bit deeper because it was no surprise when Acosta got announced that he is now at FC Dallas. Maybe a little bit of a shock to which the team he went to. He was very public. He wanted to force his way out of FC Cincinnati. Sasha, when you look at this, it's a former MLS MVP here in Major League Soccer. You're going from Cincinnati, a team that is going to make a push for it again in the East, and he goes to Dallas. What are we making?
Shocking, Kaylin, shocking. Be careful what you wish for, Lucho Acosta, because you've gone from a perennial contender in FC Cincinnati to a club like FC Dallas where your career goes to die because this team is not making the playoffs. You look at the roster of FC Dallas, besides maybe a little bit of magic from Lucho Acosta and Petar Musa, maybe they can conjure up something up front to try to carry this team, but the rest of that roster, I'm sorry, does not look like a playoff team in the West. So the grass isn't always greener. I'm shocked by this move. I think Cincinnati gets better now. They get younger with Evander when they bring him in as the replacement. I just don't really get this from Lucho Acosta.
Well, speaking of Evander, let's jump over to that because it was a massive move for Evander. He was the key player for the Portland Timbers last year of why they went on that fantastic run. He really dictated the tempo within that team. He now goes to Cincinnati, a team that was looking for a replacement in a number 10. Are they now better with Evander now that Acosta has left?
Yeah, I would say Cincinnati is better. And it must be stated that Evander also forced his way out of Portland in also a pretty public manner. But yeah, I do look at Cincinnati and say that they are better. 15 goals, 19 assists last year. He's gotten better every season that he's been in this league, Evander has. And now it's not just Evander. When you look at Acosta's season last year, he had a great season, but he was playing with no real number 9. Cincinnati went out and brought in a number 9 in Kevin Danke, who was a record signing before Atlanta went and splashed the cash. So now Evander's coming there. He's motivated. He has a point to prove. He's playing on a team that, as Sacha said, are contenders. And now he also has a number 9 in Cincinnati to play with as well. There's no more Aaron Bupenza. Yo-Yo Kubo doesn't have to play as a false 9 at times anymore. So I look at this team, they already have defensive solidity, and now they have even more attacking prowess to go ahead and try to make a run at this.
Atlanta United have been no strangers to splashing out money for big player signings. And, well, they did it yet again this year, bringing back Miguel Almiron. I won't call him the king of Atlanta because Joseph Martinez has that. Let's call him the prince of Atlanta, has returned. This is something that the fans scream out for. It is one of those players back in 2018. He ran Atlanta United to success and an MLS Cup. Do we think we are going to get a 2.0 version, Sacha, or he's going to bring Atlanta United back to life?
Well, listen, I think the fans should be very excited in Atlanta. This is a signing that had to happen for Atlanta United to bring this fan base back. But in my opinion, the sequel is never as good as the original. We're always excited to see the second movie coming out. Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out. We're all going to go see it. It's not going to be as good as the first one. I guarantee that.
Sasha, you mean Dumber and Dumberer was not better than Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah, you know it wasn't, Taylor.
Coming to America 2 wasn't it?
It's never
Coming to America was brutal.
Coming to America 2 just didn't do it for me, man.
So I'm a little less high on Miguel Almiron being as good as he was in his first stint in Major League Soccer when he was running past people at will. He was using his speed and his athleticism. As you get older, those things break down a little bit. You become smarter. You run less. I'm excited for Atlanta United because Ronnie Dela has a big job to get these new front four to buy into each other and all play well together. But I'm not so high on them as many people are.
Taylor, thoughts?
I like Atlanta United. I love the 18 months of Miguel Almiron. I don't think Sacha's wrong on this. I think Sacha is right in the sense that Miguel Almiron may hit a wall a little bit sooner than he would have, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the first 12 months, and this makes Moranchuk an unbelievable signing now because Miguel Almiron on one side, Lob Janitze on the other, and lots up front who can bang in goals. Now all of a sudden, the electricity of Atlanta United, the dynamism of Atlanta United. You've got the fan base back. So I think the first 5-6 games are so important for Atlanta United.
So, Sacha, I can't wait to clip this, throw this back out mid-season like we did with LA Galaxy last year in 2024 and really stir things up. Now, speaking of stirring things up, maybe a bit of a surprise, Chicho Arango from RSL, now a San Jose player. What are we making of this transfer, Mo?
I like it for San Jose. Bruce Arena, this is another masterclass from his standpoint, and for San Jose's standpoint. Chicho Arango, if you guys remember last season, this guy was on fire. Midway through the year, he was one of the front runners for MVP. Finished the year with 17 goals, 12 assists. So he's a proven goal scorer within this league. We saw that in LA with LAFC. We've seen it now in Salt Lake. He can create goals for himself. He can create goals for his teammates. San Jose definitely needed change, and this is a player that I feel like is going to definitely impact this team in an important way. He needed a change of environment. This is going to suit his change of environment. Can he be the difference maker alone? Not so sure about that, but I think it's a great signing for San Jose and a sign of intent of what Bruce Arena wants to bring to this team. Experienced players within this league. He brought along Mark Anthony Kaye from New England as well, and Dave Romney to support that spine.
Speaking of relying on a player, let's jump over to Charlotte, because Charlotte with probably one of the most exciting offseason signings, signing Wilfried Zaha. That was something that they were lacking in their attack. You look at Dean Smith, structurally, defensively, he got everything right. Now, looking at what Zaha can bring to Charlotte, is this a team now where we're going to say they could potentially make a run for it, gentlemen?
I think Charlotte becomes a contender in the East with the Zaha signing. He's going to be the most electric dribbler in MLS, not named Lionel Messi. The way he can take players on in the final third and unlock a defense on the dribble and then make the final pass or score the goal, I think is massive for this Charlotte team. He's going to be a difference maker. They already have the best goalkeeper in MLS. They've got a solid defense. They've got a solid spine and organization to this team. They just needed somebody different, and I think Zaha gives them that.
All right, we're talking about the East. Let's jump to the West, because the Seattle Sounders are just making moves almost sneakily. It feels like Jesus Ferreira will officially join the team. But the biggest question mark, Mo, is how does he fit into this system? Because you have a player like Jordan Morris, where he was playing out wide, then moved to that number 9 and did fantastic. Does Jesus Ferreira add a little bit to this attack? And is he even in your starting 11 for Seattle Sounders?
Well, I don't look at this move and think that Seattle don't figure Jesus Ferreira to be in that starting 11. Brian Schmetzer gets another really, really intriguing piece in the attack. Jesus Ferreira has shown in his career at FC Dallas, although some injuries last year, so he didn't have the same numbers, but he's a guy that can play across that front line. He can play even as an attacking mid if need be. Good movement off the ball, a good runner, he attacks space. He's developed even more comfort in and around goal, where Taylor you'll appreciate. He has a little bit more poise when he gets into the final third, so he's a good finisher as well. So for me, this is a great move for Seattle, a great move for Jesus as well, because I think we sometimes forget this kid's still just 24 years old, right? So he still hasn't even reached the peak or the pinnacle of his career. Now he goes to a much, I would say, improved situation from a culture standpoint, a team that's more ambitious, the demands that he has to hit now, the heights that he has to hit from an individual standpoint are elevated. He's now going to be competing in the Club World Cup, so bigger competitions for him as a person that are going to challenge him and force him to be better. So for Jesus, great move for Seattle. I also think it's a great move. You're shaking your head, TT. I don't know. I like the move. I like the other moves that Seattle made this offseason. This is a bounce back, a bounce back year in terms of how we view Seattle from the get-go.
But I'm looking into the camera and asking you guys, are they star-powered enough to win MLS Cup right now? And my answer is no. Brian Schmetzer will get him there, and they'll get him at a point, but they're going to have to defend for their lives the way they did the last 2 years. I wanted ownership to go out and spend real money and get a bona fide star, and they've got to get something from De La Vega. If they get
Well,
nothing from De
that
La
might
Vega,
be their
then Mo
bona fide
and Sacha-
star.
All right, well, this just in. Taylor Twellman coming out of retirement to be that star for the Seattle Sounders and adding more goals to his resume. Let's take a look at the schedule for this upcoming weekend.
45 years
here in Major League Soccer. Well, you're aging like a fine wine, TT. Last season's top goal scorer is back with DC as they take on Toronto. Columbus, they are without Cucho and Christian Ramirez now as they've both been traded. They take on Greg Berhalter's new club, the Chicago Fire. Austin, they had a crazy offseason signing Brandon Vasquez, former FC Cincinnati man, now went to Monterrey. He is back in MLS. They face Sporting Kansas City with a shiny new signing, Joveljic, leading that front line. And then everyone will have their eyes on Sunday Night Soccer for the first time ever here on MLS Season Pass. We'll be bringing you all the pregame coverage, the halftime analysis, and then ending the night with MLS wrap-up. And Kevin Egan will be leading the charge. The LA Galaxy taking on San Diego FC. Now, I decided to add a little bit more fun at the end of this game. So, Taylor, I'm going to put you on the hot seat because we know you love your hot takes and we know you love those hard-hitting questions. So, if you're a fan of MLS, if you're a fan anywhere in the world, you're coming to North America and you're going to see one game. What new signing here in Major League Soccer is making you get off your wallet and spend the money? We know you don't get off your wallet a lot, but okay.
Is it one star or is it one game? Because I think those are two different answers.
Okay, new star. Let's start with new star. Who are you getting off to come see here in Major League Soccer?
This is going to be very, very, very difficult because I want to say, and naturally I want to say and believe that it's Chucky Lozano with San Diego. And listen, I know earlier in the show, Mo said he and Vela are different players, even though in Europe, Chucky Lozano has more goals than Vela did coming this time to Major League Soccer. However, I'm going to argue with myself. And I'm going to answer this question before the summertime comes because I think Griezmann and other big name stars are coming. I think Kevin Deke may win Golden Boot this year. And I just believe that a young player like that, when they go out and spend real money like Cincinnati has, it would not surprise me one iota if he scores 20 plus goals in his MLS season. And I think if you're new to this league and new to North America, go watch an FC Cincinnati game in Cincinnati. I don't know if you're going to get a better environment and a better taste with Evander playing. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a wild card. I'm going to say Kevin Deke.
Ooh, no, I love it, T. Love it, T. All right, Sacha, I want to jump over to you because last season you wrote your power rankings. You wrote an amazing article. You probably didn't actually even write it. You probably got someone to write it for you, maybe AI. But this year we're going to bring it to the show. So I want you to give me your power rankings 1 through 5. Who had the better transfer market in the offseason?
All right, this is my transfer window. I'm actually going to go from 5 down to 1. Producer Sophia, if you can cut the mics of Mo and Taylor, I don't want to hear them chirping in as I'm going here.
Man.
All right, number 5, San Jose Earthquakes. You brought in Joseph, you brought in Chicho, you brought in MLS proven players like Dave Romney, Mark Anthony Kaye, and Ian Harkes. But I'm also going to include Bruce Arena in this one because I think this was a very good transfer window for the San Jose Earthquakes. Number 4, Charlotte FC. And it's strictly because of Wilfried Zaha. He's the answer to who I'm paying money to go watch. It's Zaha. Number 3, LAFC. Very underrated transfer window, bringing in MLS proven talent, Marky Delgado, Tafari, the center back, Ebo Bise, and the rumored signing of Cengiz Under, the Turkish winger on the right side. Number 2, Atlanta United. Miguel Almiron and Latte Lath. These players are big-time players. They spent big money. They've excited the fan base in Atlanta. But number 1 is FC Cincinnati, the best transfer window. Kevin Denke, we already know. Taylor Twellman is a big fan, wants to go shine his boots. And Evander. I said cut their mics. Evander is the best signing of the offseason, hands down. They spent $12 million to get him. He's an MVP caliber player. That's my rankings, and I'm sticking to it.
Shining his boots isn't the only thing, Sacha.
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy.
I was saying buy him
Come
a
on,
latte.
Taylor, it's episode 1, okay?
It's fine.
Man, I was sitting there patiently, Sash. I bit my tongue, and I really wanted to get on the mic and just hate on your list. Damn, I don't hate it, man. The only thing that I would say is, so Taylor had Denke as his player to watch. Mine, I'm going to go with your league record signing, Emmanuel Latela in Atlanta. TT said, go watch a game in Cincy. I'm saying go watch a game at the Benz, especially now that you got that attack that they have going. With Latela, his pace leading the line, Almiron on one side, Sabatime on the other side, Miranchuk pulling the strings in as a number 10. I like the look of this Atlanta team. It's going to be a fun, fast-paced team. And those two big signings, Mateus Cliche in midfield as well, Chris Henderson in the front office, they went all over the place. They got a little bit of everything to bring Atlanta back. So I'm saying they're probably maybe just taking that number 1 spot.
Hey, Mo, who did you used to call games for?
Hey, man.
Yeah, the guy who used to sign his checks in Atlanta United.
I call LA too.
Well,
That's all right. I
here
just
on
live with
episode
my
1.
best friend from kindergarten. I picked Pat Noonan, so you could have came back with that easily too.
All right, guys, I absolutely love it. Also, just want to announce Onside. So let's throw this promo up because I couldn't be more excited for this, to add this to our show on here on MLS Season Pass with unprecedented access to players, coaches, and clubs. Onside, Major League Soccer explores the electrifying moments and captivating stories that make the 2024 season unforgettable. It goes by the pitch with the personalities that power MLS, and it's produced by the dynamic sports tellers Box to Box Films. Creators of Formula One Drive to Survive, the new Apple TV Plus docuseries will deliver an in-depth look at MLS to viewers around the world and celebrate the unrivaled energy of the league. Let's take a watch.
Welcome to Major League Soccer in 2024.
It's just a massive moment to have exceptional players playing in this country.
Ready?
This is soccer. This is the life.
There's always someone better, faster, stronger. You just got to keep up.
What's up, boss?
1, 2, 3.
Before we move on and wrap this first episode of This is MLS, I want to get predictions. We won't call them predictions because I know some people don't like predictions. So let's just say teams that maybe could impress us this season, teams that could go on to win the MLS Cup. Sacha, let's start with you. Who's on your radar early on in this season to really make a run for it this year?
LAFC. I think the LA Galaxy really threw the gauntlet down in Los Angeles last year by winning MLS Cup and putting the pressure back onto LAFC. I think they made good, solid moves at the beginning of the year, adding MLS veteran presence, just like they did in 2022 before they won the championship. And I think in the summertime, we see some big names join LAFC as well, and they win the Cup this year.
Mo?
Who do I think will win, or who? Because I'm reading the question and I'm listening to how you phrase it.
Here we go.
I'm just not trying to put you on the spot because I know you
Put me
guys
on the
call the
spot.
game.
I
So
say-
I'm
I
trying
would
to
say-
rephrase it in a way where you won't get in trouble when you go and
I
talk
would
to
say
these
the
coaches
pressure-
week in and week out.
Yeah. No, I would say the
I'm trying to
expectation.
do you a favor.
The expectation and the pressure is on Miami. So Miami have to win MLS Cup.
That's interesting.
answer, Mo.
I like that. I like both of them. You guys know that I like a little bit more. I want juice to be worth the squeeze. And so when you look at the odds, for those of you that may look at them, this is very interesting to me that everyone's really not counting in Cincinnati and Atlanta. They both have high odds to win MLS Cup, which I find very interesting. And a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, are writing off Wilfried Nancy and Columbus Crew. And I just don't, I don't understand that when literally 4 months ago, we're talking about him as being the best manager in all of Major League Soccer. They lose Cucho Hernandez, which obviously is a huge loss, one of the best players, if not the best player in the league. And in that conversation with Lionel Messi, and you don't think that ownership's not going to go out and spend $20 million plus to go find his replacement? Absolutely. So I say Columbus is someone to keep an eye on, but I think Cincinnati and Atlanta, with where the odds are right now, I think people are downplaying their transfer windows, and it wouldn't surprise me 1 second if they give Miami a run for their money in that Eastern Conference race.
Do you guys want to know who I'm going with?
Nah.
Toronto FC.
No,
I'm gonna
let's
guess
just
Miami.
go to the
That
next
doesn't
question.
hear.
Not interested. Not interested.
I'm going Toronto FC. I'm wearing red. I'm feeling very Canadian. So
This is why I
that's
wasn't
a surprise.
interested.
That does it for us here on This is MLS. For myself, Kaylin, Kyle, Mo, Taylor, and Sasha. We will see
Wait,
you
is
all
Toronto
this
still in the
weekend.
league?
I think so. I think they could be. They didn't do a lot this offseason.
Hey,
so
y'all
it's
better
time
leave
to
my
bring
first team
something
alone.
to the pitch. we do like going to Toronto. You can catch us this weekend on MLS Season Pass. On Saturday, we'll be bringing you the pregame coverage on MLS Countdown, followed by MLS 360. And then on Sunday Night Soccer, followed by MLS Wrap-Up, joined by Kevin Egan and the guys and myself. Ciao, ciao.